Most people cannot sit in silence for 60 seconds without reaching for their phone. That discomfort you feel, the itch, the anxiety, the desperate need to fill empty space with noise, is not accidental. Someone designed it. And 2,000 years ago, a man born into chains understood exactly why silence terrifies the modern soul. By the end of this video, you will understand the precise psychological mechanism Epictetus identified, and why mastering it changes your social power permanently.
Epictetus was born a slave in Hierapolis around 50 AD. He owned nothing. He controlled nothing. Not his labor, not his movement, not even his own body. His master once twisted his leg deliberately as a demonstration of power. Epictetus looked at him calmly and said, "You will break it." The leg snapped. Epictetus did not scream. That stillness, that refusal to perform suffering, is where his philosophy was forged in fire. He eventually gained freedom, studied under the Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus, and went on to teach in Nicopolis. His lectures were never written by his own hand. They were transcribed by his student Arrian into what we now call the Discourses and the Enchiridion. Epictetus lived in deliberate simplicity, only a lamp and a straw mat. His philosophy was not theoretical. It was survival encoded into wisdom. Epictetus taught one foundational principle above all others: the dichotomy of control. Some things are within your power: your thoughts, your desires, your responses. Everything else is external, and therefore not truly yours. Most people violate this principle every day by flooding silence with noise, opinions, and performance. They speak not to communicate, but to manage how others perceive them. Epictetus saw this as a fundamental form of inner slavery. Here is what Epictetus wrote with devastating precision: "Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt." But this was not about self-protection. It was a diagnosis. When you stay silent, you remove yourself from the social performance others depend on. You stop feeding the machine. And the machine, built on validation, reaction, and reciprocal noise, begins to malfunction. That malfunction is discomfort, and it belongs entirely to them. Why does your silence make others uncomfortable? Because human social dynamics run on a hidden contract. You speak, I respond. I speak, you respond. It creates the illusion of mutual understanding. When you break that contract by going quiet, others cannot calibrate you. They cannot place you. And what cannot be categorized becomes threatening. Epictetus understood that the person who refuses to perform socially holds a form of power that no title or wealth can purchase. Silence communicates something words cannot: absolute self-sufficiency. When you do not rush to fill space, you signal that you do not need the other person's approval to feel complete. This is psychologically destabilizing for those whose identity depends on constant external feedback. Epictetus described this type of person as living in a prison they cannot see, always reacting, never choosing, controlled entirely by what others say or withhold. The Stoics called unnecessary speech logoria, a verbal disorder of the soul. They believed that every word spoken without intention was a small surrender of your inner citadel. Epictetus was ruthless about this. In the Enchiridion, he wrote directly, "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life." Silence is that tranquility made visible.
There is a subtler layer. When you are silent in conflict, you expose the other person's need to dominate the narrative. They expected resistance, argument, escalation. Your silence denies them that. It is not passive. It is the highest form of active disengagement. Epictetus taught that your greatest weapon is never your words. It is your absolute refusal to be moved by things outside your control, including the emotional pressure others apply through conversation. Modern psychology has a name for what Epictetus observed: the social expectation of reciprocity. When that expectation is violated, anxiety floods in to fill the gap. People project onto your silence. You are angry. You are judging them. You are hiding something dangerous. Epictetus would have smiled. He knew that silence is a mirror. It reflects back exactly what the other person fears most about themselves. Your calm becomes their confession. How do you practice this today? Begin with the discipline of the pause. Before responding to any question, any provocation, any social pressure, stop. Breathe once. Count 3 full seconds internally. This is not hesitation. This is governance. You are demonstrating to your own nervous system that you are the one holding the reins. Epictetus taught that the first battle of every day is won or lost in the space between stimulus and response. Second practice: speak only when your words improve upon the silence. This is not social withdrawal, it is curation. Begin tracking, in a journal or mentally, how many of your daily words were genuinely necessary versus performed for comfort. Epictetus called this examining your impressions before acting on them. Most speech, when examined honestly, is anxiety wearing the costume of communication. Strip it away, and what remains is authority. Third practice: sit with discomfort when others fill silence you have left open. Resist every impulse to rescue them from it. This is where most people fail. They cannot bear witnessing another person's unease, so they speak, and in speaking, they surrender the ground they just claimed. Epictetus was direct. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Silence is something you have. Guard it. There is a story told about Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism and a profound influence on Epictetus. A young student once challenged Zeno in front of his peers, speaking at length about why silence was merely cowardice. Zeno listened to the entire speech without expression. When the young man finished, Zeno turned away and said nothing. The young man waited. The silence lasted for minutes. He never challenged Zeno again. The lesson required no words. What Epictetus understood, and what that young student eventually learned, is that silence does not reveal weakness. It reveals completion. A person who needs to speak has something left to prove. A person who can remain silent has already settled the argument within themselves. The most powerful thing you can communicate in any room is that you are not seeking anything from the people in it. That self-containment is not coldness. It is the fullest expression of freedom. Here is what Epictetus ultimately revealed. Your silence does not make others uncomfortable because it is empty. It makes them uncomfortable because it is full. Full of self-possession, full of deliberate choice, full of the one thing they cannot take from you, your inner sovereignty. You came here to discover why silence holds such power. Now you know. The question Epictetus would leave you with is not whether you can stay silent. It is whether you are willing to stop performing for those who were never your audience.